Hello, and welcome to Anatomy Lesson 2.02 on categories of epithelial tissue. Let me go to my screen share. So today we're going to start off talking about this page. It's the different ways that we characterize and categorize epithelial tissue. So we have two qualifiers for epithelial tissues. One is the number of layers, and the other is the shape. So let's start off with shape. So if we look at a shape, we have three different shapes. We have columnar, we have cuboidal, and we have squamous. Columnar looks like a column. Cuboidal looks like a cube, not too tough. Squamous is a little bit different. Squamo translates to scale, and squamous has two different appearances, depending if you're looking at it from the side or if you're looking at it from the surface. So if you flip back to the very first page of your note pack, and if you look at the upper left corner, that's an epithelial tissue. Go ahead and do that now. All right, guys, that's simple squamous. And from the top, it kind of looks like a scale. All right, go ahead and come back to this page. If you look at a squamous from the side, and here we're talking about simple squamous. So simple means one layer. So I have a one layer squamous. If you look at this from the side, if I could take a pen and trace this, trace up, that's one cell. If I could trace this, I would trace here, up and down, that's one cell. When you look at simple squamous from the side, some people say that they think it looks like a fried egg. It's called the fried egg view. And we'll talk about the reason why that's the case, but today we just want to kind of get into the categories. So simple, one layer, squamous, scale-like. Simple, one layer, cuboidal is a cube. Simple means one layer, and columnar means columnar. Well, you can kind of guess, coming down to the next level, what stratified is going to be. Stratified means we have layers. If you have strata, that translates to layers. We have stratified squamous. So now I have a bunch of squamous stacked on top of each other. I have stratified cuboidal, and we usually don't do more than 2 or 3 layers here. And then I have stratified columnar. These are very, very rare. In fact, we're not going to talk about stratified columnar at all. The last two we have are unique. Transitional only exists in one place, and it's called transitional because at the top, it looks almost, in this case, the top we have, it looks cuboidal, and at the bottom, it looks almost more squamous. This is found in the bladder, and your bladder stretches, expands, and contracts all day long, depending on what you have, how much you've drank, how many fluids you've taken in. And so transitional, it looks like it transitions from one type to another, but I'll show you how to recognize this. And we have something called pseudo-stratified columnar. Well, these look like columnar, correct? Yeah? Well, this guy's a little bit tricky because as it turns out, there's no layers. If we look at the nuclei, so these little circles are nuclei. It looks like I have a layer here, and it looks like I have a layer here. And so it looks, I definitely have columnar, but it looks like I have stratified columnar. But here's the difference. This cell is attached to another epithelial cell, and this is attached to an epithelial. The basement membrane is down here. Remember we talked about those basement membranes? So for all of these, basement membrane is here, apical surface is here. Basement membrane is here, apical surface is here, basement, apical. I'll give you a second to catch your notes up in case you're writing. With pseudo-stratified, the basement membrane is here, but every one of these cells attaches to the basement membrane. So this cell attaches to basement, 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 so on and so forth. For a regular stratified columnar, This layer does not attach to the basement membrane. So this kind of fools us, and that's what the pseudo comes in. Pseudo means false or fake. So it's fake layers, kind of like fake news. No. So it looks like we've got layers, but we don't, and that's pseudo-stratified. We're going to talk about each one of these in turn, except for stratified columnar. But for the most part, you should know your takeaway here is that we characterize through layering, either simple or stratified, and we characterize by shape. All right, let's move on and talk about the first couple. Let's talk about simple squamous and simple cuboidal today. All right, so here we go, simple squamous. I have my two views here. This is my top view. This is a top view. This is a side view. And you can see how that top view and the side view look very, very different. So this diagram at the bottom shows me my apical surface. It says surface of the tissue. It shows me the basement membrane. It says that the blue here are nuclei, and this is all written out. And then this is my connective tissue. This epithelial tissue is only one cell layer thick, and it's a very thin cell. So again, here's that side view, and some people say this looks like a fried egg. So some people say the side view is a fried egg view. Side view is a fried egg view. Well, why does it look like a fried egg? The cell isn't any thicker than the nuclei. So this is the nucleus. Well, this is the cytoplasm. There's not much to this tissue, and when we look at the function, you'll understand why. So it is only one layer thick, hence the simple. They're very thin and they're very flat. Again, which we discussed, but let's write that down now. So these are the characteristics. Well, here's why. The main function for simple squamous is to allow diffusion of gases. To allow diffusion of gases. And I don't have the of gases on there, but I would add that. Well, where do we diffuse gas at, guys? Where do we have a lot of gas exchange? Did you say the lungs? If you did, that would be correct. Did you say or maybe you said, let me go ahead. So let's talk about location, and I'll let you catch up here. All right, let's start with the second one. This is pronounced alveoli, A-L-V-E-O-L-I. Alveoli are the air sacs in your lungs. And what happens is you breathe in you breathe in gases, and you want the oxygen. So you take the oxygen in, and you have carbon dioxide that you're waiting to offload. So you have to bring the oxygen in, and you have to take the carbon dioxide out. Well, to do that, you have to diffuse. And we learned about diffusion in biology a couple of years ago for most of you. But to diffuse means to go from an area of low concentration to high concentration. So if I sprayed air freshener or room freshener right now, I would smell it across the room a little bit later because it would diffuse. If you're trying to diffuse gases, you don't want a really thick tissue that's going to slow that down. It needs to happen quickly. And simple squamous epithelium lets that happen. So we're doing that in our lungs. So we carry that oxygen. So let's say we're getting the oxygen in. We take that oxygenated blood back into the heart and pump it out into the body through arteries. The arteries go to arterioles. The arterioles go to capillaries. So in those capillaries is where we get the gas exchange for all of our tissues outside of our body. So we need the capillary walls to be able to have that gas diffusion happen very quickly. So capillary walls are lined with simple squamous epithelium. So again, form follows function. Because we need to diffuse and we need to do it quickly, we've got a very thin, delicate tissue. Again, we have two views, thin, or top view and a side view. Make sure you know both. All right, let's talk about one more tissue today and then we'll wrap it up. Oh, some of our blood vessels, almost forgot. Okay, let's go one more tissue today. All right, simple cuboidal. So here again, we have, what was this we said on our first sheet? Did you say basement membrane? That would be correct. How about this surface then? If that's the basement membrane, that means this is the apical surface, and this will have to be a lumen. This is a lumen, this is a lumen, this is a lumen, this is a lumen, this is connective tissue underneath. So we have simple, there's one layer here, cuboidal, it's cube shaped. So let's get into some of the specifics. Okay, cuboidal, cube shaped. Function is often secretion and absorption. The other function, I hope, oh, let me go. Okay, I forgot to put one of the functions here, protection. So this is also protecting this tubule. We have, what you're looking at here are kidney tubules. So down here for your location. Let me just let you catch all of the notes up. So go ahead and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so we have two locations, the ducts of our salivary glands and lining kidney tubules. A renal is another word for kidney. In this case, these guys are actually affording a little bit of protection. So I would add protection to this function. But we also have a secretion and absorption because cuboidal is often associated with glands. And so in the salivary ducts, I believe we're secreting it in the glands, but the ducts are helping us secrete saliva. And a lot of ducts that we have are lined with simple cuboidal. So it's a little bit thicker than a simple, so it's providing a little bit more protection. We're not trying to diffuse anything, so we don't need that super thin tissue, but we do um, need something these are pretty small, so it can't be too thick. All right, I think that is everything on simple cuboidal and simple squamous. So that's a good stopping point for today. That's our video. Let me stop sharing. That's our video for introducing categories and a couple of our tissues. Thanks for watching and have a good day.